Oh, hey guys. So we're going to get right into the gospel for this coming Sunday and then try to figure out a little bit how it can help us. So let's listen. This is from the Gospel of Mark. They came to Capernaum, and on the Sabbath, Jesus entered the synagogue and taught. The people were astonished at his teaching, for he taught them as one having authority and not as the scribes. In their synagogue was a man with an unclean spirit. He cried out, "What have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." Jesus rebuked him and said, "Quiet, come out of him." The unclean spirit convulsed him and with a loud cry came out of him. All were amazed and asked one another, "What is this? A new teaching with authority. He commands even the unclean spirits, and they obey him." His fame spread everywhere throughout the whole region of Galilee. Well, my friends, what we try to do when we listen to these readings is really to ask ourselves two important questions. What does this reading say to me about me? And what does it say to me about God? Well, you might say, well, in this reading, God isn't really mentioned much, but he is. So really the question that we have to ask ourselves today is very simple. What does this reading tell us about who Jesus is? All we see here is that Jesus is a teacher. That's how the gospel begins. Jesus taught the people. All of you go to school, have classes, have teachers. You understand what a teacher is. A teacher is someone who speaks to you and shows you different things, and you learn from them. The first condition to learn from a teacher is that you want to learn. Ask yourself the question, how many of us sometimes are in class, whether it's actually in school or whether it's on Zoom or whatever, how many of us sometimes really don't want to learn, not interested, because we are bored or because we have other things in our head? How many of us sometimes don't want to? So it's not easy to be a teacher, because to be a teacher needs someone else to listen to you, right? Well, Jesus is a teacher. He says this. He came and he taught. And he taught in such a special way that people were astonished, shocked, amazed, wowed, because they had never heard anyone teach like this before. What's the special thing about the way Jesus taught? Twice in this reading we heard there was a word mentioned, an important word, a word that can help us understand who Jesus is. This word is authority. He taught with authority. Look at the word authority. Okay, look at the word authority. If you notice, the word authority looks very similar to another word. Can you guess what it is? Ready? You see it now? Author. Do you know what an author is? Someone who, for example, writes a book, right? He has an idea in his head, he has a story, and he takes a pen and a paper and he begins to write, and he puts into that paper what he thought in his head, and he became the author of that story. Or maybe when you want to draw something, you have an idea of what you want to draw, and you take your crayons or your pencils and you draw, and when you finish your drawing, that's your drawing, you are the author, because you're the one who made it. That gives you a special ability, because when you finish your drawing, because it's your drawing, and you notice you want to change something, since you are the author, you have the authority to change it, to add other things. Nobody else has that. If somebody takes your drawing and they draw something else on top, you might like it or you might not like it, but then it's not your drawing anymore. It's somebody else's. Because to have authority means that you are the author of something, okay? Think about it this way. You go to school. Your teachers teach you things. They teach you about trees. You can learn about trees from your teacher. You can go out of your house and you see a tree and you can describe what a tree looks like. Maybe you can even draw a tree. But you didn't make the tree, and your teacher didn't make the tree. So you are not the author of the tree. Somebody else is. Who is the author? Because whoever made the tree is the one who is able to teach about the tree better than anyone else. Because you can teach me about a tree from what you've seen. Your teacher can teach me about a tree from what they studied. But the one who made the tree can teach you about the tree because they made it. And that's what it means to teach with authority. Now Jesus comes and everyone is amazed that he teaches with authority. It means that the things about which he teaches, he is the author. What does that make him? God. He is God. He is the one who's made everything. He is the one who thought of everything the way you think of a picture before you can draw it. Well, he thought of everything and then he made it. But he didn't make it by drawing it. He didn't make it with his hands because he doesn't have hands. How did he make it? Well, if you look in the Bible, at the beginning of the Bible, it tells us how he made everything. Everything. The world, trees, mountains, fish, how he made people. Everything was very dark, very dark. And Jesus said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And then he said, "Let there be mountains." And there were mountains. Like a painter who thinks about a painting and then he makes it happen. God thought about everything and made it happen with his words, speaking. And this word that came out of God's mind, thoughts, this word is Jesus. I know that's kind of crazy, right? But you just have to understand me. He is the Word which made everything. He spoke and it happened. So when Jesus now, who is a man walking around and teaching about things, he's teaching with authority because he's the author of everything. Everything. So everybody's amazed that he teaches with authority. Everybody's wondering, who is this that speaks as though he was in charge of everything? Of course, they didn't realize yet that he is in charge of everything. But there was somebody there who noticed. One of the people that was listening noticed and started shouting, started saying to Jesus, "Why are you here? What are you doing? What are you doing here?" And this person had an unclean spirit. What does the word spirit mean? Maybe we don't know what it means. We can think about it many different ways, but here's how I would explain it. See the word spirit? Sometimes you can find that word inside other words, like, for example, in the word inspiration. Have you heard of that word? Somebody has inspiration, or maybe you say, "I am inspired." Or maybe, have you seen the word expiration? Like an expiration date. Like when you go to your fridge and you're going to get some milk, but you look at the date and it's too old because there's a date that says, "Do not drink after this date." That's what we call an expiration date. You see, inspiration, expiration, both words have to do with spirit, because spirit is something which you cannot see, but which is inside of you. And when you have it, it changes who you are. It makes you alive. It's like breath, for example. When you breathe, you can't see anything. Maybe if it's very cold, you can see something, but you can't see anything. But if you stop breathing, you stop living. That's what spirit means. And God has given us our spirit, which is the thing that keeps us alive. But sometimes inside of us, there can be another kind of spirit, one that didn't come from God, one that's unclean, which makes you do things that maybe you don't want to do. And where did it come from? I don't know. Sometimes it's a spirit that you cannot see, but it's a spirit of anger. Or maybe it's a spirit of sadness. Then you think about it later and you say, "Why did I get mad? I didn't want to get mad." Or sometimes I do things that I don't want to do, like I lie. Why did I lie? Or what? You understand? This is our unclean spirits. And Jesus, because Jesus is in charge of everything, because he's the author of everything, Jesus has the authority to tell everything, the unclean spirits, to get out, go away. You cannot do it. When you are mad, you cannot tell yourself, stop being mad. You can't. It's inside of you. Why can't you? Because you don't have authority, but He does. So what can we do? Well, first of all, we have to remember who Jesus is. Jesus is God. We have to remember that God made everything. That because God made everything, God is in charge of everything. And because God is in charge of everything, He wants to take care of you. And you can ask Him to help you when you find inside of you things that you don't like, that you don't understand. And what can you do? You pray. And what does it mean to pray? To ask Jesus, Jesus, today I feel like I have an unclean spirit. Today I feel like I have something inside of me that I don't like and I cannot get rid of it. Help me. Help me. You know what Jesus will do? He will say to the spirit, come out, leave. Leave my son alone. Leave my daughter alone. I want them to be happy. You understand? This is wonderful. This is what Jesus comes to do for us. And then you can be amazed because you will discover what Jesus really teaches. He teaches that God loves you. And He doesn't want you to be sad. He doesn't want you to be mad. He doesn't want you to be afraid. He wants you to be happy. Remember this always, that God is your Father and you are His son or you are His daughter. And because God is a king, what does that make you? Well, you know what it is. And if you want, you can write it in the comments. My friends, God bless you. Stay strong, and we'll see you soon.